As we get older, there are problems that arise that impact the quality of our life, and all of us are going to get older at some point. We tend to have problems balancing. Maybe posture becomes a little less than we would like. So if our bones are brittle, people are a little more hesitant to go out and do exercises. But as we get older, senior citizens still need to do something that helps them stay healthy, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And for the last 16 years, I specialize in Tai Chi. And I found it to help seniors in so many ways, building bone mass, helping with bone density, obviously flexibility, lowers the blood pressure, helps with the immune system, numerous things. So it's one of the fastest growing exercises here in the U.S.
You mean you don't do Pilates?
I can. But you know what? My specialty is seniors. And the fun thing about Tai Chi, you don't have to get on the floor like Pilates and yoga. I can modify it so you can be seated. And you could show up in the clothes you have on because it's very gentle, very easy. And it's considered slow-moving meditation.
Okay. Do a comparison between exercise or a workout versus Tai Chi.
I would love to. Studies from Harvard University showed that with the breathing, with the stretching, with the concentration, an hour of Tai Chi is the equivalent of a 3-mile run. And I would much rather,
okay,
especially with seniors in our joints. So did I answer your question, or did I go off on my own?
No, because the question would be, if a person has led a modest exercise-type life or even a sedentary life, as they get older, becoming more sedentary tends to become a little more common.
Absolutely.
As people age. So they're not going to be the first ones you're going to run over to and say, hey, let's walk around the block with a brisk walk. And they're going to go, don't think so.
Yes, exactly. So I go to a lot of senior communities. I've been so lucky in Tampa. 3 of the libraries have invited me in once a week, and it's a grant from Friends of the Libraries, and everyone can come in for free. I've had over 50.
This would be for any age group, though.
Absolutely.
I mean, not just the seniors.
But seniors come the most.
Yeah.
Because it is during the middle of the day. But to go back to what you're saying, Tai Chi helps with joint lubrication. Balance is one of the big reasons people come to me. Lowers the blood pressure, helps with stretching and flexibility. One of the studies at Emerson University actually took a group of women over a 3-week period of time and said that they had less anger, less tension, less anxiety. So it works in many ways.
In just 3 weeks?
In 3 weeks.
Now, this was subjective on their part?
It was a blind study, a double-blind study. I found that very interesting.
Yeah. What are the 3 libraries?
Thanks for asking. One's Fendig Library in Tampa, and then another
what part of town?
Sorry.
That name doesn't ring a bell for me.
Okay. It's South Tampa, near
Okay.
Gandy.
Okay.
Another one is Jan Platt.
Okay.
And
know where
that's
that one
also
is.
near Gandy.
That's on Henderson.
Yes. And then West Chase at the West Chase Library is showing a lot of interest. I've been there a few times. And the Jimmy Keel up in North Tampa. And also the downtown library. It's like after 50 people showed up, they decided we're going to get some seniors back in these libraries.
Yeah.
So it's just been wonderful. I've seen people's vision improved, hip replacements, knee replacements. It's just been very satisfying.
That would be another question, because there are a lot of people who've had operations. As they get older, they've had a shoulder problem or especially like a hip problem, something like that. Or maybe they don't have the mobility in their knees. Could a person with a walker, for example,
I'm so glad
sit down
Yes.
and actually do Tai Chi?
Thank you for asking that, because what I like to tell everyone that comes to my class, we work at the level that you are. Mm-hmm. I worked with a Parkinson's, Alzheimer's group, and most of them were seated. Mm-hmm. So we've taken this ancient art and we've turned it and modified it into something that everyone can do, from the chair, from a wheelchair, with a walker. And you're still working balance, still working flexibility, still working all the other things I've mentioned. Mm-hmm. And so there's an actual practice that I've studied with a master that is from the chair as well. Mm. So let me tell you another story. Yeah. It's funny. I have a class where this fella is a black belt, 3 black belts, and he stands in the back of the class. And then I have a student in a wheelchair in the front of the class. So that's what I'm trying to express, is that we can work multi-levels in the class. Mm-hmm. And it's really fascinating.
Neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is In Touch with Tampa Bay, connecting to our community, and we're talking with Bonnie Birdsall, who does Tai Chi with not just seniors, but certainly one of the areas besides at the public libraries is to go to some of the assisted living facilities and work with senior citizens. How does age play a part in our bodies to inhibit a senior from living a good quality life? Your observation?
Well, balance. Balance is a big thing. Our balance starts to shift as we get older. Some of it is posture, mm-hmm. as you'd mentioned. Some of it is a hip issue, a knee issue. Another big thing that I'm noticing with seniors, and I know that you studied some of these things, Qigong, the breath work is very important. As we get older and older, we tend to breathe more shallowly, which is not good for the whole system of the body to work mm-hmm. together. Yeah. So I teach a lot with the breath. Mm-hmm. Also, with Alzheimer's persons, the memory. So some of these things, the concentration, the movements, the forms that we use, help stimulate memory. Let me see what other things for elders. Blood pressure, that's a big one. There are several exercises that I tell my students to do right before they go to the doctor to lower the blood pressure.
Right. And something they can find an immediate result from.
Absolutely. In fact, a couple of my students came up and say, "Hey, Bonnie, by the way, my doctor
I passed my test."
Yeah. And hey, my doctor took me off my blood pressure medicine. And I always say to the students, do not take yourself off. But if the doctor's monitoring you,
right.
And don't we want to be on less medicines? Oh. I certainly do.
Oh, yeah. You'd get everybody to raise your hand if you asked
that
question. Yeah. Talk a little bit about the history of Tai Chi. Where does it come from? Because to some people, that's that thing they do down there, and they teach all the kids how to kick.
I've had people come to me, and they say, "Is this Tai Bo?" And I said, No. So the history, it's an ancient art. It's for meditation, moving meditation, and exercise. There are many beliefs, but it's often believed that it's over 3,000 years old. And there was a Taoist sage named Chen Fang Hang. I hope I got that right. And he was meditating. As he was coming out of his meditation, he saw a beautiful crane and a snake fighting. And one would lunge and the other would recoil. And then the other would recoil and lunge, and so forth and so on. So he took martial arts and combined it with animal movements to make this beautiful study. And I actually teach the Yang style, which is the most dance-like. Mm-hmm. So that's a little bit of the story. One thing I liked about the history was that there was actually an uprising in the government and the politics, and people were told, you cannot study Taekwondo, you cannot study karate anymore. And then what happened was several families, they decided to take this Taoist's recommendation and they put it into this flowing art. It kept the concentration, the discipline, the movement, the flexibility very strong. Kept them in